Hola, Chica. Welcome to the Smiley Empowerment Podcast. This is where we celebrate the strength, resilience, and determination of Latina women and all women who are constantly on the go, pushing through challenges and achieving their goals. I like to call these women Boss Chica, like me. If you're a busy woman, ready to be uplifted, inspired, empowered to take charge of your healing journey and be a Boss Chica, you've come to the right place. We can all agree life can be hectic and overwhelming, but anything is possible with the right mindset, attitude, tools, and support. Let me introduce myself. My name is Smiley Filomeno Rodriguez, and I am a Latina life empowerment coach and a social worker. I started this podcast because I know what feeling alone and overwhelmed with past wounds and challenges feel like. I want to help you with self-discovery, self-love, and self-empowerment so you can grow and thrive. Do you sometimes feel alone? ¿Te sientes sola? Well, you're not alone. No estás sola. You have me, your coach, Smiley. In each episode, I'll share personal stories of resilience, healing tips, practical advice, strategies for managing your time and priorities, for improving your relationship with yourself and others, and insights on cultivating a positive and fulfilling, joyful life. So grab your earbuds and tea or coffee, take a deep breath, and get ready to be inspired and encouraged. Let's begin this journey together and empower each other to become the best versions of our lives. Let's get started. You got this. Hola, Boss Chica, and welcome to today's episode of the podcast. We'll be discussing a topic that affects many people in their personal and in their professional lives. And yes, it has affected me as well. And that's the imposter syndrome. I'm your host, Coach Smiley, and today we'll be discussing how we can overcome the imposter syndrome. How can we break that imposter syndrome cycle? How to overcome self-doubt and embrace your achievements. So if you have ever experienced the imposter syndrome, you know very well how crippling it could be. And maybe there are many people, especially women, that may have experienced the imposter syndrome and not really recognize that that's what it was. So for some clarification for my chicas, the imposter syndrome is the feeling that comes over us that we're not good enough, that we're not capable of the accomplishments that we have achieved. And this is really despite any evidence that shows the contrary, right? It can affect anyone. It has affected me. It has affected some of my clients, friends of mine, right? So regardless of your success, regardless of the level of expertise that you may have, you may from time to time experience imposter syndrome. And really, it could really be a major obstacle for you to achieve your goals. I know that has happened to me. But I am here to tell you that you can break that cycle of the imposter syndrome. You really can. And I want to share a little bit about my imposter syndrome, which developed for me. I have a theory behind my own imposter syndrome. I believe that it was developed when, unfortunately, in my school at the age, I think I was in the 7th grade, I had a teacher who was abusive. This teacher taught me math, and this teacher was emotionally abusive to me, would say that I was stupid. I actually had difficulty in math, and this teacher harassed me, called me names, bullied me into learning, trying to teach me, but in a very abusive way. I don't want to get too much into it. My mom had to come to the school and address it. Many other moms did. Not all the past students that this teacher had experienced what I and others experienced. And that's because if you were passing his class, and there were other, I think, requirements that were very evident of his, um, for lack of better terms, his selection in bullying certain students. And I was one of them. And from a very young age at that time, is that I develop, I believe, this feeling of constantly doubting myself, being super critical of myself. I develop patterns of self-doubt, self-sabotage, downplaying my achievements. I've had this teacher for many years in my head saying that I was stupid, not capable of learning. And throughout my years, I've developed academically very well. I got my degree in psychology and I went on to be a mental health professional. I got my master's in social work, got my MSW. However, I still struggle from time to time with this voice that says, you're not you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, I would say. And that often would be an issue for me when I was studying for exams. And also I developed panic attacks in the 7th grade. That's when I first started experiencing my panic attacks. And I believe is connected also to every day having to go to school to see this teacher. There was no way out of his class. He's the only one that was teaching it. I was another year away from graduating the 8th grade. So I also developed panic attacks from the trauma that I was experiencing. So all of this I share with you to say that if you are experiencing imposter syndrome, not necessarily you've had to have a childhood trauma. Anyone can have imposter syndrome. And that's just when you're doubting yourself, not believing in yourself, right? If you experience traumatic experiences in childhood or even later on in life, it does have a significant impact on you having that imposter syndrome. However, you don't have to have trauma to experience it. And especially my women, right? My boss chicas, my chicas out there, my chicks, right? There are often times that we may feel this imposter syndrome when we are right. When we are in a workplace, right? Some of us may feel not qualified for that role, right? Some of us may feel that we don't have the intelligence that we need in order to acquire a certain status or move up in the ladder. This feeling of not feeling enough to be productive. And we may work very, very long hours and still have this feeling like, who do you think you are? I know that I'm going to do an episode on this, but even developing this and creating this podcast, the Smiley Empowerment Podcast, right up to recording the first episode, I was having this voice telling me, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are that you're going to do a podcast and who's going to be listening? And no, we have to really work on breaking that cycle, right? Because if we're feeling constantly that we have to prove our worth, right? Constantly having this fear that we're not enough, that there might be others that are more competent than us. That is not good to live like that through life. It steals our joy, our tranquility, our confidence. So I really want you that if you are someone who's experiencing imposter syndrome, I really want you to work on breaking that cycle. And for some of us, it may take seeking professional help. I know that I've gone to therapy for this, and my therapist has helped me. I've had an array of therapists since the age of 15, but different therapists have dealt with me with different areas of my life. And for the imposter syndrome, I really took a while with therapy and multiple different therapists at different times to really work on this, because it's something that sneaks up on you. I don't know if you can relate or not, but it's the imposter syndrome oftentimes sneaks up on us in the most not, I would say, in the most inconvenient time. Sometimes when you're getting ready to do that presentation at work, or you're pitching your business to someone, all of a sudden you get that voice that says, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? And and also we do have social pressures, right? Societal pressures, right? That may also affect us. And in combination with our past experiences, our own personal beliefs about ourselves, right? That really, really impacts us. And I I feel very compelled to share with you that you can break that cycle. Yes, you can. You really can. Now, can the imposter syndrome ever go away completely? I'm not sure, right? Because I think as humans, from time to time, we may have doubt that creeps in. There's a little fear of the unknown. Some people have fear of success, right? So I feel that from time to time you can experience this, but it's important to recognize it, because the sooner you recognize that what you may be experiencing in sabotaging yourself, in not moving forward in that business that you want to do, or not moving forward in a career change, or not going for your dream job, or traveling around the world because you want, you may feel like you're not worthy of traveling or experiencing the joyful and the good things of life. That's something that it's important for us to look at, because that steals our joy. The imposter syndrome really manifests itself in many different ways, right? And it's important for us to tackle it and break that cycle so we can achieve our goals and we can live a more fulfilled life, a more joyful life. Because the imposter syndrome really may have a hold on you. It sometimes grips us where it debilitates us. It cripples us sometimes from moving forward and going after our dream and passion. So I wanted to share with you a few tips, right, on how can we overcome this imposter syndrome, right? So really pay close attention. You need to have more self-awareness of yourself so you can recognize what you're feeling. And I highly recommend to practice self compassion, right? Remind yourself that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to make those mistakes and learn from them. I think that mistakes, failures are all part of our growth. And when we see that from that perspective, we're able to move forward. But when we process mistakes and failure as something that something's wrong with us, we're not good enough, then that doesn't lead us right into moving in the direction of progress, right? It keeps us stagnant. It keeps us, um, captivated in maybe the past. That's happened to me. I had to go to therapy for that. And it's not fun. I can't tell you that it's fun to really tackle and face on the imposter syndrome, but it's very much worth it because it will free you from your own thoughts, limited beliefs, also the beliefs of others. I know that this teacher, when I was young, he probably has never thought of me again. However, he had a very significant impact. And we know that teachers have a very significant impact. And we're always talking about the positive impact. But there are some teachers out there or people in our life that's done a negative impact. And this math teacher really affected me to the point where still in my older age now, I still struggle at times with believing what he believed about me, the labels that he gave me. And I've done my best to push through all of that. But at times it sneaks up on me. Okay. It sneaks up and it's not an easy thing. But another thing that you can do is really set realistic goals for yourself. Try your best to avoid feeling overwhelmed by setting unrealistic goals. Okay. So through your process and your journey, set those goals, right? Prioritize those tasks, right? Celebrate your successes, celebrate your efforts. It doesn't matter if they're big, they're small. As you progress, celebrate that. right? Do your best to focus on the work that you have before you. Whatever that project is, focus on that. Don't focus so much on the quantity of it, or don't focus so much on perfection. And I'm one who also struggles, and I'm overcoming this feeling of everything has to be perfect before I do it. And that's also part of that childhood trauma for me, where a teacher, someone in authority, was saying, "Hey, this is not perfect. You didn't get a perfect score, or you didn't get a passing grade. Therefore, you're not smart. Therefore, you're never going to amount to anything." And that is not true. So when we have these thoughts, we have to really attack our thoughts with fact checking. Okay. Where is there evidence of that? And there really isn't. On the contrary, there's a lot of evidence showing that you've accomplished a lot. There's a lot of evidence showing that you've done great achievements, that you've overcome so much, that you've had so much success throughout your lifetime, especially if you're an older person. But even if you just graduated from college, or you're a young adult, for you to get to where you're at, you've had to have had some level of achievements and success and progress. So do yourself a favor. Don't compare yourself to other people, to other successful women, right? And think that you cannot measure up to them, that you're not enough, because you all have a unique strength. Son mujeres fuertes, mujeres que tienen mucho talento. You have a lot of talent. So remind yourself of those unique strengths and accomplishments, right? Keep yourself focused also on your supportive relationships. Make sure that you're finding a network of people that are supportive. And that could be supervisors, that could be business partners, that could be your family members, right? Try your best to be surrounded by people that actually highlight your own values, right? That you share common values, that they are there to support you, and that they can offer you genuine feedback. You see what I said? Genuine feedback, not so much the critical disguised with a little envy and jealousy in there, and they're giving you feedback. Not like that. I'm talking about individuals that they genuinely give you some honest feedback. They know how to deliver it for you, because I'm very big on the delivery of the feedback. You can come at me and give me your feedback if you're in my circle of trust, but there's a way and a manner in which I will receive it with love and care. I don't do well with aggressive feed tonalities, and it's not because I'm soft. It's just that's in my nature. I don't do well with aggression, or someone coming at me with talking rough or belittling me in the middle of trying to give me a feedback that supposedly is going to be good for you. And no tengo pelo en la lengua, like they say, is a Spanish saying. It's more like, I shoot it straight. I think shooting straight is great, but I think we have to be a bit more careful and mindful how we deliver uh, feedback to to the person that we care for. But definitely, I want you to practice more self-compassion. I want you to really practice speaking up and sharing your ideas when the environment is safe. So if you want to, you're with a group of people and you have an idea at your job, I want to challenge you to start speaking up, right? Trust yourself. Trust that you have the knowledge and the perspective and insight with your own abilities to really give your own perspective and give your ideas, because you have to challenge your thoughts. You really do. And I hope that some of these tips have helped you, but it's an important topic to unpack, and I know that in 20 minutes I am not doing it justice, so I most likely will do a whole masterclass. um, this coming week, I'm going to do a masterclass on helping men express their feelings and emotions more. But I am going to do a masterclass on breaking the cycle of the imposter syndrome. Look out for that on my Instagram, Smiley Empowerment. I do a free masterclass and I coach for an hour for free on different topics. And I think this topic particularly, I want to give it a more deeper context. And I think it's great to do it in a masterclass session online on Instagram Live. I go on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You always can check me out there. But I hope that these tips have helped you. And I would love for you to take more care of yourself when it comes to the imposter syndrome. I want you to be more self aware of what you're feeling. Practice that self compassion. And if you're up to it, do some journaling, right? Do some journaling. Write down those negative thoughts when they come up, the doubts that you come up with. It's good to kind of like write them out. But at the same time, I want you also to write down your accomplishments because you've accomplished a lot. And there's no evidence that shows that you are not worthy of living a good life, that you're not worthy of things that are to prosper you, because you are. You're born with a purpose, and you're born in this life just like all of us to be here. You have the right to be here. You have the right to accomplish great things, and failures and setbacks are part of life. They're all just for you to grow. So make sure that as you're evolving and growing and developing that growth mindset, that you embrace all of you. And that's something that I've worked in therapy for myself. And I've actually worked I've counseled others in my mental health profession, right? In coaching, that we have to embrace all of us, of ourselves. That means our flaws, our imperfection, our virtues, our strengths, right? Celebrate all of you, and the right people will be around you. Those that care and that want to see you win will be around you. People change, so be open to that as well. You may have people in your circle that are with you for years and decades, and then there's a change, and that's another part of you that you have to accept. But in regards to the imposter syndrome, make sure that you take a hold of your own thoughts and reframe those thoughts. They're going to come in anyway, right? They're going to come in, but you can really overcome them by negating them, saying, hey, there's no evidence showing that I'm not worthy of this. There's no evidence showing that I cannot learn this. You may learn at a different pace, and at a different style. We all have different learning styles. I'm very visual, but that doesn't mean you can't learn. So I hope that these tips have helped you. I hope that you come back to join us in the next episode. Remember to take good care of yourself and each other, and don't be harsh on yourself. Be more kind and loving to yourself. And in exchange, that you will then be more loving and kind to others. As you love yourself, you'll love people in a better way. So till next time, I'm your coach Smiley. I'll see you in the next one. Take good care. Besitos.